Let's just move on to this report. House of Commons Defence Committee, ready for war. First report of session. This was put out on the 30th of January this year. Today, we've only got time just to give you a glimpse. So I went to the summary. What's it talking about? Readiness, the ability to deploy personnel and equipment within a set time frame for the personnel to be trained to use that equipment effectively. My goodness, this is top-rate stuff, but have a look at this. What's being said here, operational readiness, the ability to deploy a force for a standing commitment or respond to a crisis. We find this proven. They're saying, we think that the armed forces of UK can do it, but with issues of overstretch. I think this is a ridiculous statement. But the second one, warfighting readiness, the ability to deploy and sustain a force that can fight at high intensity in multiple domains for a prolonged period of time. We find this to be in doubt. And finally, strategic readiness, the ability of the state to identify and utilise all the tools available to it to support a warfighting effort. This appears still to be more of a concept under debate. So the strategic readiness of our armed forces is described as a concept under debate. This is outrageous. But if we go on through, this is the summary and the paragraphs, but I'm just going to take the headlines for you today. The inquiry itself was hampered by a lack of government transparency. So the government lying and being deceitful, that's what they always do, to cover up an inquiry into the state of the armed forces. It went on to say that the UK armed forces have capability and stockpile shortages. That means they can't fight a war. And if we go on to the next one here, it says there's no easy answer to these problems. We recognise that the government is considering options for improving recruitment and retention of personnel by aiming to reform its procurement system with a view to building industrial capacity. So this is, of course, glossing over the real problem. We don't have an industrial capacity. That was destroyed as part of our joining the European Union, but we can't recruit and hold people into the armed forces. It goes on to say that, I've paraphrased this, I've changed the way they've made the statement, but we're spending 50 billion a year plus the money for Ukraine. The UK's armed forces cannot fight a sustained high-intensity war. And my question to this is, are we looking at calculated treason to destroy the ability of this country to defend itself? In my mind, it's clear this is treason, but others may disagree. And if we just come on to the conclusion, it says there's no easy answer to all the problems outlined in the main report, which we will cover in future editions of the news. They claim that the threat from Russia has changed. No, it hasn't. It's always been there. They're just now understanding how powerful Russia is. It says the armed forces have been overtasked. Some truth in this, but of course you're only overtasked if you don't have the assets to do the task in the first place. And the fleet and the army and the air force have consistently been cut in size. More leaving than joining the armed forces. Well, that's due to the outsourcing of recruitment. And finally, it says the government must break the cycle. No, the government has broken the armed forces. So I'm going to say without any doubt, this is the orchestrated breakdown of the armed forces. And to me, this is deliberate and has been for a great many years. But we'll do more in future news editions.
Now, you'll remember a couple of weeks ago, Grant Shapps had this to say. He said, we're in a new era and we must be prepared to deter our enemies, prepared to lead our allies, prepared to defend our nation whenever the call comes. And of course, he was talking about creating some kind of militarization of our young and perhaps conscription, who knows. But part of the message was this, that Russia has what the two countries describe as a no-limits partnership with China. So we've got to worry about Russia and China, but we also have to worry about terrorism and threats from non-state actors. And it was interesting that somebody sent me a little piece of video from the United States of a sheriff speaking. Let's have a listen to this brief clip.
We'll start it out with, my name is Rick Jones. I'm the Butler County Sheriff. Butler County, Ohio. I just came back from a national sheriff's training in D.C. 2 days ago. We were briefed by the FBI director, Ray, the director of the FBI, and several federal agencies. There's 3,300 sheriffs in the United States. The President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs of the 3,300. We have a hierarchy. We have a president. We have a vice president. President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs. He also refuses to meet with the police chiefs of the United States. They have a hierarchy also. He refuses to meet with them to talk about border issues or to talk about crime that's going on because of the border issue. We were also told by Mr. Ray, the FBI director, that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. Okay? When I say red flags, meaning people that are here in this country that are wanting to do harm to us. There's thousands of people here from other countries, 160 different countries. They're here not to be our friends. Some of them are coming because they're wanting to come here to the best country in the world, the way we see it. Some are coming here to do harm to us. And we were told by the FBI director, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
So isn't it a coincidence that both the United Kingdom and the United States have the same kind of problem? Isn't it a coincidence that in the UK, it's widely acknowledged that we have seen a lot of young fighting-age men being brought into this country in the last couple of years, and the same thing seems to be being warned about in the United States as well. Now, if you remember, if you were watching the Genocide and Empire symposium that we held a few weeks ago, Kevin Ryan was talking about this idea of a structural deep event. And one of the things that he said was a common feature that you might recognize a structural deep event is if you start seeing common narratives in different places around the world at the same time. And I just wanted to sort of draw that to everybody's attention. And maybe we can talk a little bit more with Mark on that in extra.